We're recording now. I do have a 3:30 meeting,
Okay,
so I'm not sure. Oops, we lost them.
Okay, so.
We'll give it a second to see if they come back. Debbie, how have you been feeling? How's the cough?
You know, I'm on a medication. I hate being on it, but it's big old medication, and it's helped my cough tremendously.
Oh, good.
I got my energy back. It was just crazy. It's basically telling my brain to stop coughing.
Really?
So I always knew I was a bit crazy, but now I'm really. But yes, thank you for asking.
Yeah. So any idea with the meds, how long you might have to be on them?
I don't know. When my pulmonary specialist said, well, I'll see you in 6 weeks, I said, well, I'll see you in 4.5 months. So I'm going to see him in September to see if I can get off at least half of it. I've got a feeling I'm going to stick with it for a while, but it's powerful.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's been crazy. But thank you for asking.
Come on, where are those girls?
I'm glad you're improving and feeling better. That's important.
Knowing that Dee has a meeting, Zena, and that this is being recorded, maybe we should just get going.
Okay, yeah, I think the girls just were getting on. I don't know what just happened, but.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing.
Okay.
So really just wanted to come together today just to talk about the meeting. Just, I'm getting excited. It's going to be here before you know it, just a couple of weeks. We're less than a month out, right? How many weeks? 3 weeks?
Let's see. I'll tell you exactly. 1, 2, 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
3
Wow.
3 weeks from this Saturday. That's crazy.
Yes.
All right, cool. I'm glad you guys are there. So really the point of the event, why do we do it? We really do it for community. I think is the number one thing is to have, there's just something about being in the room and people seeing Optavia bigger. And I think that's whether you're just exploring Optavia, like for potential clients, having your clients there, they see Optavia bigger when we do our whole presentation. And then also if there might be somebody else in your world that's maybe considering coaching, that's a great way. And then bringing all the coaches together. It's not that often. We do this by video, but there's just something about being together in person. So I think the first thing to think about with the meeting is that, you guys being the coaches and the leaders in the area, it's really becomes about, events are more about like who's coming with you to the event, right? Like who can you who can you bless with Optavia by having them be there with you. So I think over the next few weeks is the great opportunity to start promoting this. And I would promote it to really anybody in your world that you think could benefit from it. So, it could be as much as just having people in your world get a better understanding of what you're doing. I've invited friends and family, like, I don't know if this is for you or not, but really I would just love you to get a picture of what we do, so that if you know of anybody. So that's what I'd be thinking of the next couple of weeks is who can you have join you there? And if you have clients that are local in the area, I would 100% have them there. Just that just everything gets reinforced when they're in the room. So it'll help them on their own journey. And then they may or may not be interested in coaching once they see that piece of it as well. So does that make sense? Any questions around that?
No, definitely.
Do you guys have any idea of like what size group? I think it's always good to somewhat like mentally create what the experience you guys want to have. So like if you're thinking we would love to have 30 people in the room, or we would love to have 50 people in the room, but kind of having a ballpark of what you want, there's just something about that energy that we put into it that we end up creating it. Like we always set a target at our events in Atlanta of how many we want to hopefully be able to have there.
So I've been talking about having 50. I told the room that we're going to have 50 chairs. That's my goal. That would be awesome. That's where I'm going for that number.
And how many people do we have with all of us, with the coaches, all the coaches we think would be attending? And this would include Larry too.
10.
10?
Well, Susie can't come though, right?
Susie's not. She's out of town. Susie's out of town. So,
Including Dee and Larry, I think that's 9.
That's good. So,
Kathy will be there 10. Is
What?
Bob
oh, Kathy, yeah.
Vicki?
What?
Is Bob coming?
He's not a coach, but he well might.
Okay. No, that's right. Dee did say coaches, but I'm just trying to think of all the.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Any spouses, highly encourage spouses to be there as well. Now, you know, one, they'll see it bigger. You know, you'll probably end up with more validation, more support for yourselves as well. So I would definitely encourage, you know, and you know, it'd be fun. So just they'll see it bigger as well. So that would be great. So I was just trying to get a ballpark of like what that would average out. That, you know, probably every coach would be looking to bring, you know, probably at least 3 or 4 people on their own. Like on average, that kind of give you a feeling like if everybody brought 3 or 4 people, we'd have 50 people in the room, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of be thinking that. And if we blow it out, like we'll just bring in extra chairs, right? Like that'd be awesome.
Exactly.
And I would like to speak to that. This is my thing. What do you think, Zena, and everybody, putting only 25 chairs out and then keep bringing more, knowing that we would bring more? If you see 50 chairs and 25 people show up, it just looks like what? Ugh. But can we have them stacked to know that we're going to bring them forward?
Yeah, Deb, that's a good point, and it's already scheduled to have between 27 and 30 chairs set up with others stacked on the side.
That's perfect.
Yeah, Zena already
I love
took
that.
care of it. Yeah.
And I love that it's going to be in a horseshoe shape.
So all the chairs to start with will be around the outside of the horseshoe. And if we bring more in, then we'll put those chairs on the inside of the horseshoe.
Sounds
Makes
good.
sense.
So we really have a system, and actually I was trying to do it real quick and it's sloppy, so I don't want to show you, but we actually keep like a template. Like if you guys are open to it, we kind of have a proven process that works with these meetings, kind of in terms of just kind of how we organize them. We kind of put a template together and we just kind of fill the pieces in, and then it seems to work really well because then you don't forget anything. You know, we can always add to it, but we don't forget anything. But Zena mentioned that we have options to have a projector there, and visuals could be really good. And so what I thought I would show you is an example of like the PowerPoint that we've used. And generally what works really well is that what the power of these meetings is going to be in the stories, right? So people sharing their transformation story. So whether it's their physical transformation, their healthy mind, their healthy body, or their healthy finances, or the whole shebang. But those stories are going to be what people connect to. So that's where we really want to spend a lot of energy, is deciding who's going to share. And I mean, you guys sharing is great. We could probably make space for everybody to share. But also, if you have any clients that are good candidates, especially if you think they might make a great coach candidate, we always strategically select, if a client has a really powerful story, we'll ask them to share their story as well, because it gives them an idea, you know, gives them the opportunity to see what that feels like to share their story. And when I say share their story, it's usually about 3 minutes. And with the PowerPoint, we'll be able to put their picture up. And we kind of give the guidelines around that. But, you know, describe how you felt before Optavia, you know, what made you come to us, describe your experience, what are you excited about next? So I thought I'd show you guys real quick. I'll try sharing my screen. If I can get to it.
While Dee's getting that, Carol and Lori, I am working on getting to see if Dr. Goldman will come that Saturday and share. He loved Optavia, and that's great. So he would be a fabulous person, and I've already asked him. I'm just waiting for an absolute confirmation. And I know you two are in communication with him as well. So that would be awesome. Just putting that out there. As a client and his credentials of being a doctor, I think you can't beat it, and him loving the program. So just wanted to put that out.
We agree. We were on mute. We were saying yes, we agree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'll be great, and that'll be something we may want to do more on the front end. We can figure out the order of the speakers, but his credentials and validating the program will be really important. And then also he can speak from a medical perspective. What are the risks of being overweight? You know, what does he see? Is he a family physician or an internist? What?
He's a plastic surgeon.
A plastic surgeon. Okay. But just having that background, you know, and knowledge of it will be good. So yeah, we'll definitely want to include. And so why don't you guys over the next few days be thinking about, if you have any clients, you know, it'd be a matter of inviting them to the event and, you know, ask them if they would speak. But it might be better, maybe we'll do in our text message, say, hey, I have a client that, you know, it's good to have a diversity of people if we can. Male, female, young, if we can, young, old, so that anybody in the room could pop a big weight loss story, little weight loss story, you know, like, so that so if you have different, you know, representations, it just makes it that the odds are it's going to resonate with somebody in the room.
Good point. Yeah. Especially because I think about the flyer which by the way, Zena, came out great, where it talks about, you know, 140 pounds lost, 50 pounds lost, 60 pounds lost, etc. And so I thought when I saw it, or an afterthought, if somebody only wants to lose 20 pounds, they might think, oh, this isn't for me because, you know, it's only people that have a lot of weight to lose.
Well, on another note for that, Carol, I was on with Vistaprint, and the girl doing my order said, you know, I just took a look at this flyer that you're doing. This is really interesting. I'm a nursing mother, and I just have to get off this weight for my baby. So I said, send me your contact information, and we'll go from there. So she saw the flyer, and that interests her. So, you know, different from what you're saying, that people will just see that.
Yeah.
It's a great flyer.
And that's why, Carol, you make such a great point. We've never really been able to figure out how to do it. You know, so often we're really trying to even send this message that Optavia is not just about weight loss, right? It's for everybody. But the hard thing, those visuals really capture people's attention, you know, so it's such a catch-22. But I think as long as we can think, and I know, Debbie, you're definitely fall in the category of not losing a lot, but what a tremendous difference it made, you know. So, you know, I think unless one of you guys don't want to speak, we could probably find space, and we'll figure out the right slot: healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, or the whole trilogy. And Larry and I could even be the healthy finances story if you wanted, because we really, you know, we could do that piece. But my point about this being is that if you guys were open to it, what we typically would do is that this actual PowerPoint, it's nice to have the visuals just to kind of do the walkthrough of who the company, like this would be an example. Can you guys see the screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So like this would be up on the front as people came in and whatever. This would just be up on the screen. Then we might have a story, like a bang up story at the beginning. You know, somebody's just right away kind of open with somebody's life who's been really transformed. Then back to the opener, kind of give a little bit about the credentials, who is Optavia. This is a picture of all of our coaches. If you remember from last year's party, you know, who are our coaches? They're just like people like you and I, you know, so we really just kind of try to set the tone of who we are. And then we just kind of go through it's real quick. It doesn't take that long, because this is not the important thing, but people want to learn. They want to know. So what we could do is, what we often do is, like Larry and I could do the PowerPoint, and then you guys each come in for like the stories and sharing your experiences. Does that sound good to you guys?
Perfect.
Yes.
Can you
Oh,
continue
yes.
going through the PowerPoint, Dee? So that
You bet. Yep. So we do the credentials of that. Then what we do is we kind of give a background of, like, you know, who are we and what's the problem? right? What's the problem in the US? So many people are struggling with being overweight. And I can change some of these slides, but we also start to talk about what is being healthy or wealthy in our country. And so this starts to immediately raise the conversation that we talk about, that if you ask somebody, like if they could be wealthy, what does wealth mean to them? And it doesn't necessarily mean money. So like the first thing that people said, top thing was being able to live stress-free with peace of mind. Like that would be living a full life for them. Being able to afford anything that they want, having a good relationships with their friends and family, enjoying life's experiences. So what we try to do is right there at the beginning, posture a little bit that, we're going to share about weight loss, but you're going to soon see that it goes way beyond that in terms of what's available to somebody. And so then we go in to say, okay, how does Optavia fit in? What's the definition of optimal health in our world? And then we go in and we then go in and start describing the health program, what makes our health program unique. And we speak to each one of these things, the components.
And so you're doing this all prior to anybody sharing their story. Is that right?
Well, we usually, and I'm very flexible on how we do this. Typically, what we do is we start with a story of somebody who's had a full transformation of this, like somebody who has had a good, healthy body transformation, and then they've stepped into coaching and it's given them meaning and purpose, and then they're starting to make some pretty significant income with it that's making a difference in their lives. So we could decide who those people would be. It could be Zena, it could be you guys, it could be, start with a story like that, then go to, okay, who are we? Healthy body. And then we stop and do one or two stories at that point. Like, okay, let's give some examples.
I like that idea much more than just going through a presentation.
Yeah, it gets boring. It gets boring. Yeah. So we try to keep this, like I said, this is just for the people, because there's going to be some people in the room that want the details. But the other thing it will do is for your clients in the room, it'll start to validate and reinforce some of these other things besides the food for them. So we go over it, but this whole thing goes pretty quick. And then we go to stories again. And then we'll transition from there. So you'll see, like, went through the fuel lanes, and then we did client story. Okay, so then we'd have the pictures up, and we could do a couple of client stories here. Okay, and then we go
for the clients that are in the audience.
Well, I just meant a story, a healthy body story. Now these will be very predetermined. It could be one of you guys, or it could be who we decide is going to be a client, or a client story.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Vicki?
Yes.
By the biggest stretch of imagination, would you ever think Joe would come?
I will ask him. I actually have I actually have 4 clients, but in Winston-Salem, which is where he is. So I actually just made a note of that, of asking if he would be willing to come up.
Mm-hmm. He's the one that's in the picture with Vicki, and he's had quite a transformation, and that he's, I know that Dr. Zimmerman is also bringing an obese gentleman that is hoping that there are going to be other men there. So that's that might be.
Yeah, and I will absolutely encourage Bob to come. So I'm fairly confident he will, but I don't want to answer for him until I've spoken to him.
Okay, go ahead, Dee. Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay, so is that Joe or Bob? What was the name?
Joe.
Joe, but you also think Bob, your husband?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, having a good balance in the room. So we can fit a couple stories in there.
Debbie, do you think that Dick would be coming?
If Dick is in town, he will be there for sure.
Okay, great.
Awesome. That's great. So good. So so then some stories, and we'll go in and talk some about healthy body, healthy mind. Again, we'll move into healthy mind. And in here, you can see, what does healthy mind be? Or what is it? And then we can speak in terms of, who's going to speak in terms of the healthy mind piece of it. And her picture didn't come up. So we had Cassie speak about healthy mind, just the difference that coaching made for her, like in meaning and purpose, and beginning to dream again. So we can decide who that's going to be. And then we go in from there, and then we'll go in to talking a little bit more about stress, finances, and then the solution of coaching. And then we'll have some stories about people who stepped into coaching, which is all of you guys. So we can figure out the logistics of who, I think we've confirmed who wants to speak. And then we'll figure out the order of who speaks and who goes in when. But we've got a lot of time. Typically, the events in Atlanta are 3 hours, and we do this part, which usually takes about an hour. We take a 15-minute break, and then we come back and we actually do a coach training. But I don't know that we need or want to do that. So we can have an hour and 15 minutes to do this, in terms of, however many stories we want to fit in. And then we can, leave it for questions, leave time for questions. We don't necessarily have to fill. I'd rather have less content and allow time for the questions and stuff and get people out on time. I always like to stick to the agenda.
And how do you answer the question if people are at the seminar and they say, well, this looks good, but the number one question on their mind is how much does it cost? And they want that answer. So how is that handled in a seminar?
In a seminar setting, we would go through it and probably say your coach would first of all see which program's for you, but our standard 5-in-1 program, I'd probably go into it in that spot. I wouldn't hold it back at that point. I mean, if they're asking, they're probably interested, and I would explain it just how we normally would on any kind of health assessment.
Right.
So there's that, and then we talk about coaching and what does it look like to become a coach. And this is why it's really good if you have clients there. They'll see another side of this they may not have realized before. And if you have a coach candidate, that's real important. So we just go through that and what some of the income is for coaching. Yeah. So that would be it. I mean, I think the question would be, do you want to do anything separate for coaches at the end, like a separate coach training, or just fill our time with this and then dismiss and then say, hey, anybody who wants to stay around that wants to talk about coaching further or whatever, that will be here, happy to answer questions, that sort of thing.
I like that idea. I know the two people that I'm hoping that will come are not going to be at all interested in coaching. I mean, I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I just know that. So I think it would be great to have the event in a reasonable amount of time on a Saturday morning. And the other thing is, I think we need to absolutely positively start on time. If we say 10 o'clock, we start at 10 o'clock because people value their.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. That's always a decision we make as a team, is what do we want? Like in Atlanta, we always give a 15-minute buffer because of traffic. And but we always have like a little food area and coffee, and we say, okay, like just mingle, get to know each other. We'll start at 9:15. But if you guys are in an area that like, hey, if 10 o'clock means 10 o'clock, we'll start at 10. And it's up to you guys whether or not you want to do any kind of fueling table, fueling swap. That's totally up to you. There are pros and cons to each, and I really have not attached to any of it. Simpler is not to do it. But if you want to do it, we absolutely can.
And what's more effective in your opinion? Is there one way better than the other that you found?
It's interesting. We have this one girl in Atlanta, and she is just great at decorating and presentation and all of that. So she's just always been willing to set up this big food display table for us. And she usually just makes it theme for whatever the season is and all of that. And because we give this buffer of time, we usually like to have the food there. But every time we say to ourselves, do we really need this? Like, do we really need this? Because honestly, it's kind of expensive. You're cutting up your bars and you're putting them out, not knowing if anybody will eat them or not. And we know that we don't want people to judge the program because of the food either.
So in Miami, I did have everything cut up. I had all the crunchy things. I had everything out there in display. And what I got to see is really nobody there in the room ate it except some of my cronies that well, you had some, but yeah, no, but you know, I have two or three of my friends that they're not in the program, they're not getting in the program, but they were eating the food, but that's them. So did I need it?
Okay.
You know,
My thought is for Lori, Beth, and I that when we started on the plan, the food was so incredibly different than what we were accustomed to eating that I wouldn't have gotten on the plan if it was a matter of, well, it sounds good, let me taste the stuff. Oh my God. Versus just having the opportunity to be committed to it, committed to the program for 30 days. And, you know, within a week, I was accustomed to the flavor of the food. So I personally, my vote would be not to have the food out there.
I agree. For me.
I agree.
I think that's good. I do. I don't think we need it.
Yeah, as an FYI, I have told Zena this. I am going to do several kind of door prize things. Not a big deal. Nothing, but like Zena, we can talk about what it was that you know, at your event. I know you had a way of giving them out, which I don't recall, but I thought it was clever at the time. So
Right. We had who lost the most? Who lost the most got a prize. Who came the furthest got a prize. What was?
Okay, yeah.
There was one more.
Whatever. We
Who
can
lost
work
the
on
most?
that,
Who
but I
came the
just,
furthest? I know that was, you know,
I didn't want that to be a
good,
surprise.
and
to
people like
that-
prizes.
yeah.
Are you good with contributing those prizes or,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. It makes it fun to do it at the beginning. We kind of lighten the mood. Oh, and another thing we like to do at the beginning, and I'm not sure if we remember to do it at the Miami event, but what we like to do at the beginning is have everybody stand up and say,
We did it.
yeah, if you're, you know, if you've lost 10 pounds or more in the room, you know, or with Optavia, stand up, or 5 pounds or more, since Debbie will be there. If you've lost 5 pounds or more, stand up. So like most of the room will stand up, right? Most of the room will. There'll be some people that won't, but this is a visual for them. And then if you've lost more than 10 pounds, stay standing. 20 pounds, stay standing. 25 pounds, stay standing. So the room will start going down, but then you'll end up with the bigger stories, the 60-pound stories. You know, I don't know what your largest weight loss is, what your client Joe is, but you know, we've had some incredible things, like somebody standing there and they've lost 130 pounds or something. Wow. But it sets for a great visual because they start to see the impact that it's made, and then we can give one of the door prizes there, you know, and then we'll make a big deal like, hey, we know it's Saturday, but like, look what you made a choice to do. Like, how awesome, you know, who came the furthest, you know, whatever. And then we'll do another one. So we really try to keep it light and interactive and fun and connect with the group, you know, so just everyone kind of give you an expectation of what we're looking to do. It's not like a stiff formal, you know, it's more of a conversation with people.
And what is your idea of door prizes? What kind of things are you thinking of? Vicki.
I've just kind of started picking things up. I have some candles, I have some mugs, I have, you know, I'm trying to do a little gender neutral. I'm open to any ideas if you have any. So, you know,
Vicki,
if you do.
I have a metal water bottle that I want to, because I don't use it, so I'm going to give you that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. Just tchotchkes, you know, tchotchkes are good. Well, I think that's good. If we don't do food, that's great. And then we don't have to worry about distraction with just getting started. And then it's up to you whether or not, I think somebody had mentioned possibly a food swap, like a fueling swap. That's totally up to you. I will say that sometimes gets clients in the room because they're like, oh, a food swap. Like, well, then I'll come because I want to get rid of this chicken noodle soup. The only thing is that then they come and they're like, they realize the only thing to exchange it with is chili. You know, like nobody brings like chocolate peanut butter bars, you know, so that there's always a level of disappointment with the fueling swap as well. Yeah. So you guys make the call on that. If you do that, then we want to, you know, put it in the corner and somebody be designated to kind of help, you know, administer that. And I would say it would be nice, and Zena, you and I can work on this. that we have 1 or 2 people designated to be like out in the front lobby or helping to greet people and bring them in to the room, kind of have, you know, some of that kind of just specified, makes it easier.
Right, and like somebody with the timing, the speaking, like they do on everybody on our calls, you know, they're looking at those videos, they're timing themselves how long it is. So, you know, somebody can do that as well.
Yeah, and well, those stories, I'll tell you what, whenever we decide who's going to do the story, so I'd be thinking, let's think of this, of how many we want to do and who those people might be. And then we're real clear on the stories, like 3 minutes, because sometimes your 3-minute story, before you know it, it's turning into 8 minutes. And somebody's just going on and on. And so we try to do that concise. And I have some actual cards that will show like 5 minutes left or 3 minutes left or 1 minute. So we can use those.
Okay, so we're getting close for Dee's ding ding.
Okay.
Anything special that you can think of, anybody? Any questions? Do you know anybody that you have in mind that you think should be the talking person in your group? All right, we're going to think about this then.
Well, Lori and I certainly, we're both very comfortable talking in front of groups of people.
I think that'd be great.
And we both have experience talking in front of groups of people.
Yeah, and I like the fact of Lori off cholesterol meds, blood pressure meds, and diabetes meds. They're like my,
Yeah, me too.
you know, what are they called? I always talk about that because that's such a big deal. So that's definitely the healthy body.
And Z, I think you should talk about the healthy finances because you are the one that you're the one.
Those finances.
I mean, you know, you can talk about your weight loss, obviously, but in addition to that, you are the one that has that's made the most. You might want to figure out how much you actually make.
I don't think that that's necessary to say those numbers.
Yeah, we have to be a little bit careful too.
What, Dee?
But what you can say, we have to be a little bit careful for compliance reasons, but what you can say is, you know what, this allowed us to go on 2 additional cruises last year or something, like, you know what I mean?
I didn't hear that. What did you say? Say it again.
Something like, it's just been really nice to make additional income, that it paid for 2 additional vacations last year.
Yeah, no, I've got that down because.
Yeah. And then I can also share with Larry and I that, you know what I mean, we've been in the business longer, but he's come home from an executive level.
Right.
You know.
I like that. I like
that's
that.
a big deal.
Yeah, big deal.
After the Miami event, I had you recorded, Dee, and I played it back at least 20 times and wrote down, and I have it typed up, what you said, because I thought what your not evaluation, but your description of the program was so extraordinary and so well done in so few words that I've actually put it down, and I gave Vicki a copy actually too. It just is so well done. So I hope you will do that again because you have a very, very wonderful way of presenting it.
Yeah, thank you. I'd be honored. Yeah.
That's Dee.
Is the idea that you want each of us that to in sharing our story to talk about our weight loss and how it's changed us financially, and or you know, one of the speakers is going to talk about their weight issue, one of the speakers is going to talk about their
Health. Mind.
Yeah, their health. A different speaker is going to talk about their finances. What is your thought on that?
It really is up to us, whatever we want it to be. Like I said, we usually launch it with a pretty big story of somebody who's been transformed in all areas. And maybe that's Zena, right? She's got a pretty big weight loss transformation. She became a coach. She didn't really need to work, but chose to because it really provides for some fulfillment in her life, you know, and then, and bonus, here's the income, you know, the income from it. And then we might have a couple of healthy body stories that could be the doctor. We'll have the health professional speak. Maybe, you know, Joe, this other client, whatever. Maybe a smaller weight loss story with Debbie, you know, at that point. And then Vicki, you might be the healthy mind, like stepping into coaching, like how that's just, it was kind of in your natural wheelhouse from being a teacher, but how this has just opened your heart and your personal development so much further. So that might be her emphasis. She could still say, I lost 40 pounds and my husband lost 60 or whatever the number is, but her emphasis would be on a specific area. And then Lori and Carol, you guys, I think Lori's got a really great healthy body story. You both do. But I think it all in all, the message is the freedom that it's given you. Like, right? Like the freedom to not be on that medication, the freedom that you guys are out paddleboarding and riding bikes and, doing things that you have energy and things that you weren't doing before. Like that's the things, like the kinds of things that somebody sitting there would be like, that's what I want,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So Zena and I can work together to see. And like I said, at this point, if you have any clients that fit, sometimes it's nice to have a client or two that's not a coach speak and validate. It sounds like we've got the doctor and possibly
Hopefully.
Joe, right, possibly. But if there is somebody you're thinking might be interested in coaching, and then you'll have to let me know or let Zena know, like if Brenda or somebody is a great story, if we want them to fit in somewhere.
Oh, I heard back from Brenda, by the way. She's in IT and they had a crash in their system. And so she said she couldn't get on the call. And I think that Laura is a physician and
She totally took off that day. She will be there.
No, I'm talking about for this call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. And it would be great to have Laura speak to another physician too.
That's right.
Yeah,
Right.
that'd be good. So even if the other doctor can't make it. So, okay, well, really, we just wanted to really kind of cast the vision today to kind of help you. I think at this point, the number one thing is just invite. Direct invites are the most effective. Direct invitation to somebody, I'd really like you here because social media, emails, good blanket layer. And then whoever does say they're going to come, I'm telling you, like follow up. Is that like the night before? Hey, can't wait to see you tomorrow. That morning, I'll be saving you a seat because you know how it is. People will wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I don't want to go. So, but if they know you're expecting them, they'll be there.
Our flyers will be in on Friday, and I'll get it to you girls one way or the other. And also, I got a lot because they gave me a lot for this incredible price. She liked me. So we have the big flyers, 100 coming, and the little ones to hand out all over the world for 100 coming for just nothing price. So,
that's awesome.
So yeah, and I mean, I'm just going to walk down Boone, King Street and hand them out and wherever, just those little ones. So I'll get the girls.
Yeah. Every restaurant we go into, hair salon, nail salon, doctor's office.
Yeah. And one last thing, Dr. Goldman told me about at the hospital, there is she's not a tech, but a doctor of some sort, whatever. And she's on Optavia and loves Optavia. So even though she's not on our team, I'm trying to find out who she is and get in contact with her and see about clients that she knows. So do you think I should go that route, Dee, since she's not on our team?
Oh, so she's another coach in the area.
Yes, I just found that out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we let coaches from all different teams come to the event. We don't really let them speak. It's our event.
Right.
Our event. It's nice. It helps to fill the room. It helps to reinforce, but they don't get to speak or anything.
Right. Like Michelle came from Miami, but she didn't speak, but I hear that. But that was great for her to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Dee, I hear what you're saying. And I think if my client was invited to another group's thing and said, anyone that's interested in Optavia, please feel free to tell them to attend this, I'd be furious. Because if it's
Michelle
is not
Michelle had asked me, is it okay for me to send my clients to your event? I said, definitely. That was in Miami. She wanted them to come. So
that's different. That's, if a coach is saying that versus, well, anyway,
I hear you. That's a really good
my
point.
opinion clear. I'm not the end all be all.
I didn't really
Share
hear
that
it,
with
so I didn't hear that exactly, but
Usually I would possibly, does the coach live in the area or she just has clients in the area?
she's a coach.
That is up to you. I mean, probably if she came, she would be inviting, she'd be there too, probably. I would
Yes,
probably tell like what we do is we let area coaches know we're having it. Generally what they'll use it for, they don't really bring their clients. I find they usually bring like coach candidates or client candidates with them,
Right.
but they're there with them. And we
Right.
always within Optavia have a very strict rule, like we don't poach anybody else's guest or anything like that. Like we're
Right.
very clear on that. We always make them feel welcome, but if they were interested, go back to the person that invited you.
absolutely.
You know.
Okay,
All right, well, we can
Thank
regroup
you,
again, like
Dee.
after convention, we can regroup the week before, kind of really make
Perfect.
sure we've got the pieces filled in together, but I just really want to cast the vision and start the invite process. And Dina, if you take a picture of the flyer, take a real clear picture of the flyer, or actually, I think I can snap a picture. You sent me the PDF.
well, I'll send it, because as a matter of fact, the girl who put it together sent me she didn't realize I was printing it. She just thought I was putting it on Facebook, so she resent me the major quality one, which I canceled my order and sent that back in, so that was great. But I'll send that to you, and you'll
Yeah,
have,
send that to me, and then I'll snap a
my
picture from my
resolution.
phone, and I'll promote it from here as well on
Okay.
social media.
okay, I will do
So,
that.
all right,
Okay,
you guys.
I'll send
I'm
everybody
excited.
that
Thank
resolution.
you.
I can't
Thank
wait
you,
to spend time with
everyone.
you. And Carol and
Thank
Lori, I'll
you.
see you at convention, right?
Woohoo.
Next week.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right. Thanks, you
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.